Buddy, I wanted to do a quick one today to highlight something that one of your classmates and I had discussed. This is a little more information about selections. So, if, for example, I wanted to select out this shape of the TV screen, right? It's not exactly square, it's not exactly oval. There are a few ways that we can do that. So, first I'll come up here to the top and I'll select my rectangular marquee, and I'll draw that rectangle around the area of the screen that I want to capture. And I can use the selection modifiers. For example, here I can say smooth selection, and let's try a sample radius of 80 to make it extreme. And I'll click OK, and you see what happened, how it curved the edges. Maybe that's more than you want, but we could say undo that, come in here and say smooth again, and maybe make it 50 this time. Whoops, 50. It's a pretty good looking curve right there. I'll go ahead and copy this layer, and if I, for example, wanted to, I'll turn off the background layer. If I wanted to cut this out, I could press Command X, and there we are. I'll press Command Z to put the shape back in. And so that's one simple way to make those rounded edge selections, by smoothing a rectangular selection. I'll go ahead and deselect that. You can also maybe try the magic wand tool, right? That's the one that samples based on color tolerance. So this TV screen is pretty much gray and it has this nice black line around it. So let's see what we can grab. With a tolerance of 32, we got a pretty good selection of this screen there, but still not all of it. So we can select a little more, press and hold the shift button, and you can select more and more of the screen. And there we go. That looks pretty good right there. Once again, we can maybe cut it out, and we have a pretty good screen selection. So I just added in this new layer so we can see what happens when I select out this screen of the TV. And so now let's do it with the magic wand again and see how well this shape comes out. Whoops. What I did there was just Command Z to undo my last selection. Come down here to the bottom. There, that's pretty good. And I've been cutting out this screen. Wow. But really, the way you really want to do it in Photoshop is to create a mask, which is the non-destructive way to do this. So with my area selected, I'll just press on this mask here. Oops, and I actually need to reverse it, so I'll press Command I. And because I've applied a mask, meaning I've hidden the screen, and the screen is still there. I've hidden the screen and the screen is still there. So if I was to turn this mask off, right, it's non-destructive. I haven't erased the screen or deleted it, anything like that. I just kind of taped it out, if any of you are painters. Then on this Milky Way layer I put in there, we can move it around. Pretty neat. So I'll delete this layer mask. There's another way to do this selection. The magnetic lasso tool would be really good for this one. In this case, I'm going to press the caps lock so I can see the crosshair of my cursor. And what the magnetic lasso does is finds areas of contrast and sticks to them, magnetizes itself to them. So I can just click and drag around this edge, and I'm not really being too precious about it, just kind of dragging along, and go all the way around. If I wanted to place a spot of my own, I could press the Shift key, and it would place a spot wherever I put my dot at. And now, if I don't like this, I can actually press delete, delete, delete. See the little squares lighting up, and I can go back to one of my last squares. There we go. And now I'll start moving my magnetic lasso back around. Oh, looks like I magnetized it to something else. That's funny. Okay, that's all right though. We could just do this. Click. Oops. We've closed our loop, all right? So I kind of messed up here. Again, if I want to adjust that, I can just go to the regular lasso tool and press the Option key to make it subtract from my selection. And what I'll do is kind of go around this black edge here that I grabbed mistakenly and just kind of remove that from this selection. And then kind of try to trace it again. Oops. It's hard to do some of these tracings on a keypad. That's why the magnetic lasso is such a good option. So that's the magnetic lasso. In addition to the magic wand tool, we can use the object selection tool, which, for example, if I draw this square around the screen here, it drew the selection area around the screen. Do that again, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Right, it drew that selection. It selected this part of the screen, and you have to clean it up a little down here, but there you go. That's your selection. Again, cut it out, mask it by pressing the little circle. Whoops, reverse it again. There we go. Command I inverts those colors. Black conceals and white reveals is what you need to remember related to masks. Delete. You could also use the quick selection tool. What that does is it just draws an area and decides that that's what it wants to be selected. So that's a pretty easy one to use. You can check Enhance Edge to get it to make a little better edges for you. You can't really tell here, but sometimes that works better than others. There we go. Yeah, it drew the selection, and if you saw it, kind of snapped into a smoother shape. Now I've got this, and I do want to smooth it again. I'm going to click Smooth Selection here, and let's try 20. There. See, that kind of got us that nice round shape. I can apply a mask again, invert it again. There we go. We've selected out the screen in that way. Delete that. And so those are our best selection methods to cut out a sort of rounded shape like this, and a lot of other shapes. Those techniques can be used to put a rectangle around the whole screen, or circles with the elliptical marquee tool. You can draw a circle around these channel selectors. So there are some great selection tools for you to use: rectangular marquee, elliptical marquee, selection options, which you can find here under the modify, select and modify when you have a selection made. We have here the lasso tools: selection brush, lasso tool, polygonal lasso, magnetic lasso, all good at one thing or another in different ways. The object selection tool, quick selection, and magic wand tool. All of those will make selections according to its sort of superpower. So I hope that helps, and just go ahead and select this out, smooth it a little bit. I'm going to clean up this edge here. Very nice. I'm going to create a mask, and voila. Thanks for listening. Hope that helps.